Hey, welcome back, everyone. Been working on some smaller trucks. Gonna go back to another big truck. This is my SCX10 Honcho. It's an OG from 2015. Um, I've had this one since new. I'm the original owner, and it's been through a few different transitions throughout the years. For the first year or so, probably not even a year, it was stock. I think it was only like the first 5 or 6 months. And then I decided to put AR60s under it, which are these axles here that are still on. They were originally just regular plastic housings off of a Wraith. I bought them on eBay at the time. Um, had SCX10 regular links on it, but of course, when you put Wraith axles underneath an SCX10, if you don't do the skid, you're making a Honcho, as they called it back then. Um, you have to do funny things with the links and everything. The lights might blow out the camera. I just realized this link here, because of where the drive shaft is, same thing with here. This is just threaded rod with ends on it. I tried making a nicer one, bend it around and everything, but it just gets so tight between the drive shaft and the frame here. It just, the threaded rod was fine. And this is probably the second or third iteration of these. I've swapped them out over the years, making different designs and versions of them. But it's been great. I haven't had an issue with it. I tried, if you can swap the transmission around, but then your angle is crazy over here, and it was just too much for these universals. It worked, but they clicked and stuff, and never really fully liked it. And I didn't want to swap over to a Wraith skid or anything. I just wanted to keep the frame the same size and everything. Just never went that far. So yeah, that's one thing you got to do with it. I kind of forgot where I was going there, but anyways, eventually I had the stock links in for a long time. Recently I put on a newer set of links because mine were all scratched up, bent. They were pretty worn down. A couple years ago, I think about a year and a half ago, I put on metal housing. So forget this section still. It was still just two axles. I put on these metal housings. It was actually these two housings here. This one was in the front. And it was just because the plastic ones were getting pretty worn down. I still have them, but they were kind of getting worn down. I just wanted to add a little bit of weight down low because this was kind of high at the time. Last year, I kind of started going a little bit more into it because I'd been out of crawling for a little bit, just kind of buying a house and stuff like that. And I just kind of got out of the hobby for a little bit. But last year, I started back in on this thing, and that's when I really started modifying it more, and I wanted to make it a 6x6 at that point. I was just I've been always thinking about it, and so I bought a third axle. That's this one right here off of AliExpress. It was a complete metal axle. I haven't had any issues with it, and I know a lot of people complain about the AliExpress ones, but it's been fine for me. So I put that one in the front, and the front one I put in the rear. Made all the needed flips and flops with the gears to make it work, because you got input and output. There's a 3D printed part for this Outback, but this is also, they also came out with this pass-through was off of, it was a parts tree for something. I can't remember what it was. I'll link it down in the description. The problem is it's harder and harder to find these, because when you do find them, it's in a whole parts tree kit, and it's like 30 something bucks. And if you just want this one piece, it kind of sucks. There was a 3D printed version that someone put out, and I did use that one for a little while, and it was fine. But it's way beefier and bulkier here. And at the time when I first did the 6x6, I made this 6-wheel steer. Maybe I'll put up if I still have it, I'll put up a video here of me playing with it and adjusting it. But it was kind of finicky and annoying to always trim 3 axles over and over. And I didn't really use this 6-wheel steering a lot. I really just steered to the front mostly. Didn't really need to do it. I had it on the MT12, so I could adjust each one individually for the trim, but also steer these two together, because the problem is, even with a radial link, you could put these two together, like split it, but you can't trim them separate. It was not easily, at least. So I just ended up, I had the MT12 anyway, so I just put it all in there, and you can program anything you want on that thing. But I ended up eventually just taking off all the 6-wheel steer parts and made these just straight axles again in the rear. And it's been way better, way easier. I just run it. It's more of a trail truck. I mean, I climb a little bit, but it's more of a trail truck just because of how big it is and tall, and it's got 5.5-inch Swamper tires on it, which these are not great, but they're not even great for climbing. That's another reason it's a trail truck. It has been flopped many times. Literally, this is less than a year old, this body, and it's full of holes. But yeah, this is what it is. I'll probably eventually swap out the body. Kind of like this one. I might just get another one. I got it off of AliExpress for like $12. You can find them for under 20 all the time. Just the cheap FJ40 body. Originally had the fenders on it because I had tusks. Hasn't been used in a minute. There we go. I had these on it, tusks, and different wheels. Can't remember. But I wanted bigger. This truck's just so big. I just wanted bigger tires on it. So I went to those Swampers. Anyways, last year I started. Actually, maybe it was the beginning of this year. Started designing this 6x6 chassis in the rear here to try to get it to the 6x6 like I was thinking of doing. These are little holders for spare tires. You don't have to have these. It's actually a bolt-on extra piece here. You can just take those off, and it's just 2 shock towers and it's flat. I don't have a bed for it or anything. This file is up on Make a World for free. A bunch of people have downloaded it, but I've never seen any makes for it. So if you do download it and make it, post some pictures. I'm very curious to know what people are doing. I haven't seen anyone doing it, work on it. I don't know if it's one of those things people just download to do later and they never do or what. Anyways, this whole section is 3D printed as far as the braces and everything go. These are just metal shock towers that I had bought a while ago because my stock ones were pretty flimsy and flopping around. This is the end of the frame here, the stock frame, and then it just literally bolts on. So you could take this off and make it a 4-tire, 2-axle truck anytime you wanted. It's not like it's a permanent change. You're not cutting anything. You're not grinding anything off or anything. It literally just slides into the frame. This is all one piece. So on an A1 Mini, you can't print it, I believe, because I think it's, yeah, because this just barely fits on my Bamboo P1S actually. So yeah, A1 Mini will not fit. So this is all one piece. And then you have these side plates here for the shock tower that go onto the side of this piece and butt up against the frame. There's 2 bolts and 2 bolts just where the frame connects here. And then you have just where the shocks go in. It goes through into and there's like captured nuts all throughout this whole thing to try to help it so you're not just going into plastic only. The bumper, I made this bumper. It's just a small little guy just to hold it. It's got holes for some LEDs. It's got 4 LEDs in the back here. Let's see here. I pretty much mimicked this-ish. Not exactly the same, but just kind of mimicked it. So you could have a bunch of options for shock location. Let's see. Oh, originally, like I said, this was 6-wheel steer. So when you download it, you'll see this big opening here and a big opening here. I literally just made that so the servo could slide up inside of there, no problem. Because I didn't want it to. Because if you didn't have that, you'd have to have this thing wicked tall so the servo didn't hit the frame. Let's see. I think that's about it for the 6, but it's pretty, you just bolt it in. You print it, you bolt it in. This is SCX10 links, and then the rear is a custom set. I just kind of made them up. I don't even know what the lengths are, honestly. They're threaded rod with the ends, and I just kind of put it where I wanted it. Originally for the tusks, but there was a bigger gap here than I needed, really. So that's when I was like, I bet I could fit 2 2s on here with the big 5.5-inch, and it fits no problem. So, even with the smaller tires, it still didn't look that bad here. There wasn't a huge gap. And like I said, you just adjust where you want the axle with the links. The lower link piece here is actually a separate piece too that bolts up on to this. I only have 4 bolts in it. I originally made it with 8, but it wasn't needed, so there's only 4 in the final one. This is still like the prototype one that still worked. I just kind of fine-tuned it from here, deleting stuff. Yeah, that's about it. You're gonna have to do a cab only pretty much, unless you make some weird long truck body in the back for a bed if you want, or big flatbed. I thought about doing that originally. I was gonna do a big flatbed and then put Yeah, so I can kind of haul like a little truck up if I trail with this up a mountain and then play with it. But the thing is, the bed has to be this high, and then the truck is, I mean, you're looking at, it's going to be at least here for a little truck. And also I wanted to be able to take like a buggy on it, but even then it'd be huge. Not really work out that well. So, I mean, the baby capper would work. You know. And, but I just never did, because it was just too tall. It looked way too high. It just looked goofy. I like the idea of this. Plus, there was a ton of added extra weight, and I mean, not that these are light either, but still, you know, whatever. This is all lit up because I do trail with it, but also the wife and I like to go for walks in the afternoon. We haven't done that in a little while, but yeah, we like to go for walks in the afternoon, and it gets a little dark towards the end. So I put rock lights on here. I put headlights on here. Got reverse lights, just so we can be seen at night and everything. Because, like I said, it's got the headlights. It's got the light bar. Let's see here. This one was a flashing setup, but maybe not on that one. Oh, it's this one that does the bottom ones. Then you have it flash like crazy, you know. People can see us driving by, and then yeah, we're just for driving around. It does have reverse lights. That's what these pods are here. Have that. But yeah, so I just drive it down the road as just a kind of trail truck. Let's go underneath here. This body is so thin that I've had to put little plastic 3D printed rings on here to strengthen it up a bit, but it they keep falling off because they're just hot glued on. One of the updates I'll go over updates actually in the end. What I want to do some updates, but it's got the stock SCX style transmission. This is a hot racing one I bought back in 2016, back when their stuff was actually reasonably priced, and now it's ridiculously priced. Stock cover is still on it. Yeah, because it's the transmission housing from them with the metal gears. This is the brushless ESC and motor. It's a 1450 kV brushless outrunner from my FCX10. It's a 50 amp ESC. The problem is it's not programmable, so it's kind of annoying with that on that end. I have the light switches. This has got to be cleaned up still, so yeah. Light switches are in here. It also has a light controller. This is also off of the FCX10, because no, it's not. Sorry, this is off of the. I just realized this controller, the transmitter, is from the Arctos. And I bought the Fly Sky receiver and light controller to put on here because I like the controller. I just needed more options for the Arctos at the time because I put in a brushless system and everything like that. So I just bought these to be separate. And there wasn't a lot of room in that for this dual setup because that had the 2-in-1 ESC. So that's what that's from. And the controller works fine, works great. It's usually on 3S. I just threw this 2S battery in here just to turn it on and show you guys it. The reason I had swapped this ESC out of the FCX10 is because it didn't have enough drag brake for what I wanted on that. Doesn't really have enough drag brake on here either. But it was a trail truck. Not that the FCX10 wasn't a trail truck either, but it was just, you know, this was literally just trail. Like, and I thought it was going to be fine. And it's been okay for just driving around. But, you know, it's got a blue case. No, this one has the Endura, like 35 kilogram servo on it. It originally had Endura and then 2 Amazon Blue cases in the back. It's got I think this is an Endura bumper, but like it's like an Endura bumper. You can find them like not named, brand name Endura. And that's what this is because it was like $15 cheaper. It's like half the price. I made, and it comes with like an adapter to go onto here, but it was this big metal thing and it stuck out like another inch. So the body was here and then it stuck out another inch. It was ridiculous. So I designed I designed a 3D printed mount that directly bolts this to the frame. Originally I did it in PETG and PLA, but it kept snapping just because of how thin it has to be up here. So I eventually I printed it in TPU, and I haven't had one issue with it, and now it's flexible. Doesn't break, just hits things and bounces off. Been on there for a few months now, hasn't broken, whereas the PLA and PEG one would break almost every time I went out. This is a file I have up on Maker World. It's a battery tray that you can go this way or this way with it. It replaces the front brace here. No, it bolts onto the front brace here. That's like the only stock part on this thing, honestly, is this right here, the front brace here. That's the only one originally from the truck back in 2015. The frame rails were replaced because they were so beat up and bent and rusty. I had to put new ones on. I think I put those on last year. The skid was replaced because it was so worn down. Like I said, being 10 years old. And then, yeah, that's it. That's literally the only stock part. So it's kind of one of those that, you know, if you replace all the parts of the ship, it's still the same ship. So I kind of go, I just say it is because I had to replace parts slowly. These are 3D printed sliders I have up on Maker World. So Maker World, all up on there. I also have a smaller version of this. If you have just a short, if you do like a shorty battery, like a 2200. There's a version of this that's also shorter here. That's just a brace, and I think it's got a receiver box. I think I have both versions, non-receiver and receiver box one up there. And you can kind of, it's not that it's wicked waterproof, but it kind of helps with splashes and this and that. That's up there. I also have this file right here up on Maker World, and it's just a little tray this big. And it bolts to two of the housing bolts for the transmission, for the stock transmission or the hot racing or whatever transmission that's the same as a 3-gear for this. Didn't use it again. And it's just a little tray, and you can put your electronics on there. Gets a little bit higher up, saves space. If you don't want to have any of this, you know, just a little spot. It's got a couple little holes to zip tie the wires to. Let's see here. I think that's about it. It's got Endura drive shafts. Well, or the knockout, you know, Endura type. I think like Kuwu and a couple other ones. I just had to figure out the sizes to fit in there. And I think that's it. These wheels are just, I bought them off of AliExpress originally, the 4 of them. And then I ended up wanting to put it on make it a 6x6, so I had to find 2 more of these. So I found them on Amazon. Ended up having the same ones too. They're non-adjustable hub though, so it's kind of annoying. They're okay, but anyway, they have just like I think that might be Endura, honestly, but just some green inserts inside because I do, you know, water and whatever I want with this thing. So that's it for the truck itself. As far as what's coming up for it, it is getting some upgrades. The 50 amp ESC has been fine if I just want to trail it, and that's it. But if I want to do anything technical, slowly, kind of pulling that trigger slowly, it jumps, falls back. The drag brake is horrible, especially with this much weight. It is not good. So I have a 120 amp secure ESC I'm going to be putting in. That'll take care of that whole problem with the drag brake and everything. It's going to go probably in the same spot here. The other thing is the last outing I had, it ended up being a 5-wheel drive because I snapped this axle inside here, which I've had this thing for 10 years and I've never once snapped any axle. In the original axles, when this was regular stock Wraith on the Rovers, I never snapped an axle, but for some reason this one snapped. All these are fine. So I have an extra axle because I had to, when I went to 6-wheel steer, I had to buy the 6-wheel steer shafts. When I went to go back to straights, I couldn't find the short side of this, and I didn't have one of this at all because this one, because I had bought that, you know, as a turn axle. So I couldn't find this short one, so I had to buy a whole kit of these. So I have this extra one, luckily, and it broke, luckily, the long shaft. So I'm pretty sure it snapped right here. But anyways, that's an update that's going to be a fix, not really an upgrade. It's going to be happening. I also want to put on the Endura magnetic light for the cab, because as you saw, I have to unclip this every time and clip it back in, and I got to work on it. It's fine if I got to change just the battery, just put it to the side, or I just lift it up like this, like a hinge off of these kind of. But it's just annoying to have to clip it every time, and you got to make sure you're only going to the power ones. You're not going to the signal. You're not backwards. So I'm gonna do that. I also need to figure out what happened. I think because this thing took a tumble. One of these axles are cockeyed. I think it's this one because these are the threaded rod ones. Because these ones are actually links, like 5 millimeter, 6 millimeter links. But if you look here, I don't know if it's easy for you guys to see, but I can put my hand in there pretty good, and I can, my fingers are actually touching when I do this. So there's something is bent here, and I'm going to guess it's one of these. Honestly, these didn't need to be high clearance or anything. I only bent them like this just to get the axle in the right pinion angle. So it was more just like to adjust it, and I'm guessing that's where that's from. I have a ton of links that I bought on a sale from Mias, so I'll be swapping those out for a link that actually is a real link now. The other thing is these nuts. I tried putting like these kind of like hub nuts on there. They loosen up all the time. This is one of the nuts from that, so I just need to get some better quality, I guess, nuts for that. Maybe with the serrated backing. I got a bunch right here actually. I'll probably swap in these black ones here. The ones that are on here don't have the let's see, it doesn't have the serration there, so they back out a lot. So I'm gonna probably swap all those out. The front, because it keeps loosening up. See, that's the lug nut's loose. You can actually see it moving on this one. It keeps digging into right here into the steering link. I should just turn this off. I don't know why it's still on. It keeps digging into here. It does it on both sides, and I think it's just because they're really tight, just because they barely fit in here. But also when that lug nut loosens up like this, as soon as I turn here, it's rubbing. I can feel it right now. So I need to either put some. First of all, I'm going to put the nuts on that are serrated. But also I'm going to. I have at least, let's say, 3 millimeters here of the stub left. I'd like to get hexes that are a little bit thicker. If I got 3 millimeters here, I'd like to get probably like 2 millimeter thicker, and it would push these out a little bit more away from the steering link. I don't really care for this link, but it's the one that came with it, and it fits perfectly. The other links I have are rounded, but they don't fit the right. This is all aftermarket, so when you buy the aftermarket axles, it comes with the aftermarket knuckles and everything, and the links are never the same one manufacturer to the other, it seems, because it depends on how they made the knuckle. So yeah, or maybe I'll just bend my own. I have some brass and stuff. Yeah, maybe something. Maybe not this one exactly, but this is a link I made for the Mantis. So I've done something up, something like that. Yeah, it's almost. I mean, it's not, but it's like 15 millimeters off. But I have a whole nother piece of it, so maybe I'll bend up my own. Then I don't have to worry about it. Add a little bit more weight in the front, I guess. Oh, the other thing I forgot to mention, these are Dravtechs, fake Dravtechs. I have a video on how to change these out to make them not leak, but these things are great. Look at that. All that weight, and I think it's got 60 weight in all these. I don't run springs in the middle, because when I had all the springs in, it was just monster truck in the back end. But I think those are the updates, fixes and updates. ESC light connector, magnetic light connector, fix this axle stub, lock nuts, which isn't really an update, but just mentioning it because they loosen up all the time, and possibly a steering link. Yeah, that'll probably be my next video. I just wanted to go an overview on how the truck is set up, kind of introduce it to the channel. I have some shorts on it. People seem to like it. Good amount of views on them. I would also like to change out these tires, but because they're just not good. The rubber's not good at all. I just don't think I have anything this size. 5.5 inches. And I'd like to stick with this because these AR60 pumpkins are freaking huge. You hit everything if you don't have bigger tires. That's the reason I went to these tires. I mean, I guess I could maybe get 2 more Rovers. It'd be huge. This thing would look like a monster truck with it this wide. do something. Oh, I added a link brace here just to kind of, this didn't flex a lot, but it did flex a little bit. So I just threw a link in here just to kind of frame to this shock tower, stiffen it up a good amount. Kind of looks cool, I thought. You know, have a little bit of silver there. Let me go here. So, and these are, like I said, these are 2.2 5.5 inch tires. So these are big boy tires, and they fit completely fine. Like for reference, these are 4.75s off of, like, you know, any normal, you know, they're finger, you know, pretty high, pretty much higher, and they fit perfectly. I was thinking about making like some kind of a cover to cover up wires and stuff in here, just like a little trough maybe or something. I don't know, maybe just a little cover that can go in there. At the same time, I don't want to add more and more and more weight to it because it's already pretty heavy. Actually, you know what? I should weigh this thing. It's been a little while since I weighed it. And I'll weigh it with this stuff on it. Cab. So this is 2S batteries, pretty close. Let's see here. Not very easy to weigh this thing because it's so freaking large. Yeah, well, it's on there. 212.2 ounces, which means nothing. 6 kilograms, 14 grams. So what's that? 6,014 grams, right? 13 pounds, 4.1 ounces. It's a big boy. It's also got a third axle, the whole rear, 2 extra tires, 4 extra tires compared to an SCX10. Metal axle. Yes. I did think about putting the housings back into these ones to make it a little lighter. They're scratched up and pretty worn down, but not so much that they're not usable. So I was thinking about putting it back. But yeah, you got 13 pounds, 4.2 ounces. But just kind of, and then if I take these off, let's see what's it. Oh boy. Oh geez. That makes it 11 pounds alone just there, just taking off these wheels and tires. I didn't realize that these, you know, these are, it's 11 pounds, 14 ounces. So was that a pound and a half or something just for these alone? So if I really wanted to lighten it up, but it wouldn't look as cool, I feel like. Yeah, these alone are, yeah, 1 pound, 6 ounces. Damn. But anyways, that's it for this video. Coming up next will probably be the update video. Been doing the upgrades for this. I want to get it back out on the trail. I've been missing taking this thing out. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, throw them down below. And I guess I'll see you on the next one. Have a good day.